Hey, I'm Ada.
And I'm Stefan.
And welcome to Living Simply in Mexico. And today I think we're going to do, well, it's kind of a little bit of a newlywed game type of format.
Almost 20 years later.
Yeah, given that we're going to be married for 20 years, we sort of recorded separately our answers, but we had a whole list of kind of our favorite and a few not so favorite things. It's primarily positive.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to be doing today.
Yep, so stay tuned. It'll be interesting. We'll see how it goes. I would say for my holiday, it would have to be Dia de los Muertos, primarily because it's something we don't get in the United States. It's really awesome from a art perspective. It remembers our relatives that have passed, which I think is just amazingly awesome. So by far Dia de los Muertos, although New Year's Eve comes in a very close second. As far as Ada goes, she may say the same thing. I'm thinking she'd also says Dia de los Muertos. Dogs, gotta love them.
My favorite holiday by far is coming down here during the Dia de los Muertos celebrations and Halloween. So Halloween, of course, is on Halloween, but Dia de los Muertos on November 1st and 2nd. It's just that whole week. It's amazing here. All the little businesses have the little temples. They have, just honoring their lost family members, and it's really a celebration of their lives and what they were like in their memories. And I really love that. I love the whole concept, and I love that it's actually celebrating more of life versus mourning death. And so with that is my favorite holiday, and something we do not have anything that touches that in the United States.
So, favorite time of year. This may be surprising to some folks, but I have to say it's summertime. And the reason for that is I spend a lot of time in California, so it's not like we're getting away from snow. On that front, summer, it's hot and it's humid and it's rainy. And it just feels good to just not have to bundle up in clothes like in Northern California. Air conditioning is a must, though, for sleeping in your bedroom. But I have to say summertime with the awesome rains and the thunderstorms, definitely the way to go. I don't know if Ada would say the summer. I bet she would say fall, but don't know.
So my favorite time of year to come down here is probably, from a weather standpoint, it's a little cool right now. I think February is nice, but I have to say, and right now we're in December, January time frame. So it is really reasonable temperature. I think the bummer is that the sun sets a little bit too far south for me, so we don't get the beautiful sunset. But the positive side of that, we don't fry on our patio in the middle of the afternoon. But I think maybe sometime in the spring, April in terms of weather is really nice. It hasn't really gotten to its rainy season yet. Hasn't gotten blazing hot yet and humid. You may have some bugs. Bugs are kind of a thing year round, so it is what it is. But yeah, I think that's probably my favorite season or kind of time of year to come.
There are so many great restaurants here in Puerto Vallarta. It's ridiculous the number of great restaurants there are here. I'm a Midwestern, originally from Midwest, kind of meat and potatoes person. I have to say what ranks really high on my list of all places is a vegetarian place called Vegetalia. High quality food, great ambiance, casual, great owners, and just good solid food. I like their surprise menu where you can basically buy anything, or you basically say this amount of money, surprise me, and I love that actually. As far as, but my true desire is a taco on the beach, and I have to say, overall, it's Fidencio's on Los Muertos. Ada? I'm thinking Salud Superfood. That's what I'm thinking hers is. That's good stuff too.
Favorite restaurant is tough because it kind of depends on the mood. I would say best ambiance is Cuates y Cohetes by far. In the evenings, They have live music. There's, you can sit on the beach, you can have your toes in the sand, you can be watching the colors of the pier change colors. So that's definitely, I think, from an ambiance. And then even if you're eating inside, there's just all these cool little, you know, knicky-knack things hanging from the ceiling that just make it fun. There's a very festive vibe there. So I would say that's my favorite in terms of just that kind of vibe and ambiance. From a food standpoint, you know, there's this little vegetarian restaurant down near us called Vegetalia. It's Italian and it's just solid, great food, very simple menu. But you know, when you want good, hearty, quality food at a reasonable price that's healthy, I love Vegetalia. And then for lunch, I love Salud Superfood, which is over on the other side of the Romantic Zone. It's probably the furthest away, you know, kind of towards Romantic Zone from our house as you can get. But it's about 25-minute walk maybe. But it's so worth it. It's delicious. They have amazing zoodle bowls and Mediterranean bowls and sandwiches and smoothies, and they're just super healthy. Just, once again, solid, great food. It's not necessarily Mexican food. And that's kind of the funny thing. My favorite places aren't necessarily, except for Coatzacoalcos, Mexican food, but they definitely are really tasty.
All right, so let's talk favorite food. The one that is hands down my favorite are tacos. You know, you can't beat tacos in Puerto Vallarta, especially on the street or at a local restaurant. Tacos extremely rock. Let's look in our refrigerator for some other items that may be of interest. Well, let's see here. We got some almond milk. It is healthy stuff. Some leftover food. Some stuff for juice, lots of beer, and margarita mix. I know I caught a lot of crap in our last video or one of our earlier videos because we don't make them from scratch, but we're lazy. Margarita mix is also very important. A little bit of wine. But that's, as you see here, not a whole lot of food. And the reason that is because the restaurants are so awesome here. The one other thing to consider is, actually the big surprise for me was guacamole. And so a close second is fresh guacamole here. Oh man, it's awesome when they just make it from scratch versus any packaged crap you get in the United States. So that's another one. Oops. I would say for Ada, her favorite food, probably vegetarian or something at Salud Superfood.
Zoodle bowls and Mediterranean bowls.
Maybe tacos. I don't know.
Favorite food. I am a fish taco lover, but that being said, I would say my favorite thing to eat down here are churros. I love the churro guy that's down at the corner by the church, kind of near the Old Town area. So, you know, it's just, there's nothing like getting a nice, hot, crispy churro, and they're like 3 for 5 pesos. And so anyways, I think that's my favorite little guilty pleasure food that I like.
As far as beach spots go, I would have to say, really the top of my list would be the beaches between Boca and Las Animas. But locally here downtown Puerto Vallarta, I would have to say you really can't beat Los Muertos Beach, just with beautiful places to eat. Again, Fidencio's is the place where we like to hang out. Another place is just it's down more towards the Melicon, further north, and that is across from the McDonald's. Oceano Azul, I think, is one place where you can go there, and there's plenty of more local beaches. The further north you get, the more local it is, which is nicer. But it's tough to beat just sitting at Fidencio's on Los Muertos and just watching the parasailers come in, having a beer. As far as Ada goes, I think on the beaches, she'd probably go more for the local beaches, I would think, unless Los Muertos because it's too touristy, but we'll see.
In terms of favorite beach spot, that's tough because there's a lot and it sort of depends on the mood. There is a really cool place down at the end of the beach where the red chairs are. I mean, literally you go all along the beach down to the end. Fidencios, I can't remember the name of it. You know me, I can't remember names.
It's Fidencios on Los Muertos, again.
When I want something a little more peaceful though, I will actually keep walking past Los Muertos Beach, past Las Animas Beach, and I'll end up in Conchas Chinas. And so it's a pretty good walk. It's maybe 45 minutes. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe half hour, let's say half-hour walk if we're going from the beach chair place, that Fidencios.
It's Fidencios on Los Muertos.
Whatever that is. Los Muertos Beach, where the blue chairs or red chairs are, all the way down south. So it's a pretty good walk, but it's gorgeous, it's peaceful, and if you kind of want a little more of a secluded beach feel, that's going to be more of it. Incidentally, beaches are public lands here, so you can actually pretty much get on any beach you want.
Getting around town. I would say that the absolute best way to get around is walking, primarily because it's so hard to find parking spaces if you were to rent or have a car here. And it's just so awesome. Everything is really close by, which is excellent. Other ways, I'm a big fan of Uber, so I'll take that anytime. I don't have to deal with money. And you just basically get in and go. And it's really, really inexpensive here. So big fan of Uber. Also, taxis are good too. Taxis are great when there's a set place you need to get picked up at. For instance, at the grocery store, there's a line of taxis and you just hop in them and go. And they're pretty fair. They've been more price competitive, but always ask before you get in a taxi. And then I would say the bus is also good if you're looking just to get around, and if it's only me, it's super cheap to just hop on a bus. But if you're looking to get someplace fast between point A and point B, it's not so good, but buses are great if the routes are where you want to go. And so that's what I would say is get on your feet and go. I've rented a car here before. Not a big fan just because you're always worried about it getting dented or where to park it and all that sort of stuff. Too stressful for me on that front. As far as Ada on the transportation, I bet she would say the same thing. On foot, as well as Uber and then taxi in that order. She may put bus a little higher on hers, but I would suspect we're also pretty similar in that.
Getting around, definitely my favorite way of getting around is by foot, just simply because you can explore and you can, here in downtown, you can pretty much get to where you need to go and get what you need. Now, if you need to go a little further out, Uber is really, really simple, and sometimes you get a great Uber driver that actually will tell you a little bit about the area that you're in, so that's obviously a plus. The other way that's really fun is if you need to go south is doing, or even for that matter, I think if you go up to Puerto Vallarta, you can catch a water taxi, which it's really fun actually taking the water taxi down south, down to Yalapa or Animas Beach or coming back from there, simply because you get to go, near Los Arcos, you get to see them, it's beautiful, and we've always had a really a great experience with that. The bus, super simple, but it can be a little bit crowded, so if you want to make it to a place that's pretty reliable on time, you can hit the bus, it's not a big deal, but yeah, results may vary. Sometimes you get an air-conditioned bus, sometimes you don't. And then my least favorite is probably the taxi, and I think the reason why is because it's half the taxis that we've ridden in, they don't have seatbelts in the back seat. They may or may not be air-conditioned, usually they're not, whereas the Ubers are. And the drivers, sometimes they don't know exactly where you want to go, so unless you know exactly where it is, it can be a little bit sketchy versus the Uber, which you don't have to deal with cash, and they have the GPS right there. So I'm definitely an Uber person as opposed to taxi. I would love to support taxis, but they're not necessarily you know, doing what I would necessarily want. That being said, sometimes it is a little bit cheaper taking the taxis. So, for example, from Nueva Vallarta to here to downtown, it's maybe about 50 to 100 pesos cheaper if you do taxis. So, and you can't always get an Uber from some of those, you know, areas that are a little bit more closed off. So like I said, Nueva Vallarta is kind of a little resorty. So sometimes they don't necessarily let Ubers in. You can get dropped off there, but getting out, you pretty much have a taxi. Okay, so that's my getting around.
So next up, lodging. You know, we've got a house, so that's always the first option. But outside of having a house, I would say the next best way to do it is Airbnb. Again, I'm used to you know, Ubers and Airbnbs and things of that nature, but that works really well here, especially if you're not around for very long and need just a little bit of place to stay. Hotels are also fine. We stay at hotels like La Siesta, which is great. It's an inexpensive local hotel. All-inclusives are great if you just want to completely shut down and do nothing. Which is a very good thing. But for us, you know, it's not a really great way to experience Puerto Vallarta because, you know, you're in the hotel, you're eating their food, you're experiencing their life, and you're not really getting out as much, or there's incentive not to. And so I would put that on the bottom of my list. As far as renting, a lot of people do that for half a year to a full year. That's okay, but you really need to be a snowbird, I think, to take advantage of that. So Airbnb. And I think Ada's going to say the same thing.
Best lodging, definitely I would say, now this is the type of traveler I am, given you don't have a house, would be actually just staying in someone else's. I really have enjoyed when we have rented Airbnbs, because you can feel like, you can rent it wherever in town you feel like you want to explore, really kind of feel like you're part of the neighborhood. I would say second to that, if I was going to stay, I'm definitely not a resort person, so for me those are kind of boring. But if I were to stay at one that's kind of resort, I would say Los Arcos, which is down in the romantic zone, simply because it is right in the middle of the romantic zone, and you have both the advantages of having the beach right there, having beautiful pools, all the rooms have a view, and you're right in the center of town. So that would be my choice if I were going to have some lodging that was not Airbnb.
Favorite activity, first on my list, which is a non-activity, would be sitting in the hot tub, swinging a hammock, or sitting at a beach bar, just watching the waves and having some good food. But for an activity, I would have to say hiking, either urban hiking like what I'm doing right now, which is totally awesome, or hiking along the beach. My favorite hike is from Boca de Tomatlan to Las Animas that we featured in a couple of our earlier videos. As far as Ada would go, I would say she's pretty similar. I bet her favorite activity is also getting out and moving about, doing the steps and doing some hiking. That's what she likes to do. I guess that's maybe why we're married, but I could be completely wrong. We'll see.
All right, so my favorite activity by far here in Puerto Vallarta is urban hiking. I mean, you stumble across murals everywhere. There's just so many amazing things to see. If you want some elevation, you want to work out, you can do that. If you want to just go easy and just chill out, you can just walk along the Malecon. Anyways, given that you're paying attention to traffic and not too, into your own little world, you never know who you'll meet and what you'll discover when you go urban hiking.
All right, so biggest annoyances. They're not that many, but I have an attitude of, you just kind of go with the flow in the culture in Mexico, and so it's a big part of that. But I would say the biggest annoyance I have is cats. Not that I don't love cats, but it's the cat poop. Good thing we brought poo bags from home. I don't know how they get on a roof, but they poop on our roof. They poop outside our door. They poop everywhere you can think of. When you're walking on the street and you step on something, most likely it's cat poop. From Ada, you know what? I don't know if the poop would be on the top of her list.
The cat crap. There are cats everywhere, and they're not neat little cats that dig their hole and do their business. They leave big turds, and they leave them everywhere, and you think it's a dog turd, and actually it's a big cat turd, and they like to leave them on our roof and near our jacuzzi, and so I'm not so fond of that. So that would probably be my biggest annoyance.
On sounds, I would have to say you've got like the Ciel guy, the water guy. You've got propane jingles, so the trucks going by with propane selling them. You've got dogs barking. You've got roosters in the morning. You've got banda music that goes all the time. But I would say just from a pure sound perspective, not to keep me up at night perspective, but the most annoying sound is they sell this corn, the cooked corn on the street, and they literally have a train whistle that goes off, and they move this thing around. It's mobile, and they move this thing around, and so when the corn is ready, they sound this horn, and if you're like right by it, you like lose your eardrums because it sounds like a train horn. So that would have to be my most annoying sound here in Puerto Vallarta. And I don't know, Ada may go with the banda music. That wouldn't surprise me. We shall see.
All right, so not so favorite sounds would be the propane truck driving around with its little jingle. Also, there's the water guy that sometimes will yell as he's walking up the stairs. Yeah. And that's a little bit annoying, but I'm okay with that. Probably actually I'm gonna back up. Number 111 annoying thing is there's this train whistle. Darn near blew my eardrums out. So that I think by far is the most annoying sound. Second place would be the propane trucks. All right, well, we're recording this before I know the answers and I know how well we did. So you can comment if you think we're a compatible couple and
Yes.
we both belong here together.
Or not. Hopefully that won't be the case.
All right, well, anyways, hey, thanks to you guys for joining us, and make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.
Take care.